Welcome back, Zane here with you, and thanks for joining me again today. If you like my videos, please consider giving it a like, subscribing to my channel. It just encourages me to keep showing up and to delivering and sharing my insights on Bitcoin, my take on this space, and continuing to, encourage you to continue to learn and grow in this space as well. But today I wanted to talk about some of the downstream impacts and effects that being a Bitcoiner has on your mindset and on your life in general. And I think a lot of people come into the Bitcoin community and the Bitcoin space originally because they know that there's a problem with money. They understand that money is broken, we have inflation, and that Bitcoin is essentially number go up technology because of its fixed supply deflationary properties. And so people are generally attracted to Bitcoin in the first instance because they want to protect their purchasing power, they want to create wealth, they know that it's the best performing asset. But I believe that even though we may come to Bitcoin for the asset growth and savings technology benefits and properties of Bitcoin, I think what actually keeps us in Bitcoin and causes us to continue to develop more and more conviction about the power of Bitcoin and the impact that it can have not only on our own life but on our family's life and on the world in general. It's these downstream effects. It's the sovereignty aspect. It's the freedom and the personal empowerment. And the fact that Bitcoin is the first truly decentralized monetary instrument that represents the separation of money from state. And these aspects to me are the most potent and powerful and liberating properties and aspects and benefits of being a Bitcoiner. And a lot of people, it takes time to actually come to terms with that. It takes time to really understand what that actually means. And I'm still, evolving in my conviction on that. I mean, I kind of have to pinch myself every day to actually really, truly realize what that actually means. And I think part of the problem is that we've been so immersed in this control system, in this control mechanism called fiat currency for so long that we just don't know any different. And so even if you've been in Bitcoin for many years like I have, you still have to pinch yourself at times to realize the ingeniousness of the creation of Bitcoin and what it actually truly represents. And that does take time. It's not something that just happens overnight. I think a lot of people come into Bitcoin and they leave Bitcoin because, they've doubled or tripled their money. And it's because they never really take the time to understand the potency and the power of the asset that they're actually holding. And so when I talk to people about Bitcoin, I encourage them to have a long-term view, to think at minimum of 4 years. But, for me, I'm thinking not just my lifetime, but I'm thinking about my kids and my grandkids. So I'm thinking multi-generationally. And that is a mindset that not many people have, particularly in today's world where, everything's about instant gratification, becoming a millionaire tomorrow, 10x, 100x this year. We've become, really, I guess desensitized to what it means to actually build a future and a life and financial freedom for ourselves. And the world and society, the way it's constructed, has a lot to do with that. And this is why Bitcoin is so powerful, because it forces you to think differently. It is a paradigm shift from everything that we're used to. And when you start to realize that, there are certain pillars in society that are really set up as control mechanisms, and that Bitcoin represents an opportunity to step outside that to be a truly sovereign individual in so many ways, to me, that is what makes Bitcoin so attractive and so powerful. And I think as more and more people start to understand Bitcoin and realize what it actually truly represents, and the fact that it is not just number go up technology, but it is actually sovereign money, I think we're going to see more and more people come to Bitcoin, because unfortunately these control systems, and when I talk about control systems, obviously I'm talking about central banking. That's the first one. There was a time where, money and state were separated. You've got to go back a long time, but, certainly way before our lifetime and even our grandparents' lifetime, you've got to go back a long time in order to understand that once existed. But money was never meant to be intertwined with government. But over the last 100 years or so, certainly since the creation of the Federal Reserve, which inadvertently controls all the major central banks around the world, we don't know any different. And so we've been born into this control mechanism known as fiat currency. And even though it became a completely distorted system from 1971, because up until that time there was still some semblance of sovereignty associated with money, because at least it was backed by a true commodity that has been money for thousands of years, and that of course was gold. But once that promise was broken, all bets were off. And so in my lifetime, given that I was born in 72, President Nixon took the US off the gold standard, and thereby the rest of the world off the gold standard in 1971. And so I don't know any different. And so, it's only because I've studied and I've realized and consciously noticed the problems that I'm in the headspace that I'm in, and you might be the same. But the reality is that 95 to probably 90% of people out there, they are in this control system, and they don't even realize it. And, I'm not sure what it's going to take for them to actually wake up and realize that they have an option to opt out of that system for the benefit of their future and their kids' future. Maybe it's going to take another crisis. Maybe it's going to take another pandemic. Maybe it's going to take capital controls. Maybe it's going to take bank bail-ins where people can't access their money. Maybe it's going to take a world war. Some kind of crisis is what I believe is going to wake up the bulk of the population when it comes to Bitcoin. Now, having said that, I think there's a lot of people that know there are fractures in the system now. They know there are problems. They know that this debt-based Ponzi scheme that is fiat currency cannot continue. The governments are in so much debt now, there's really no way out for them other than to continue to demonetize the debt through creating more debt. And it's a crazy situation, and our kids are going to pay for this. And they already are to a large degree, particularly those that are looking to set a life up for themselves right now. If they're in their 20s, they're already seeing the price of this debt-based system, and the fact that the cost to them is that we've essentially sold out that generation, because they can no longer plot and plan their future based on the money that they're earning, because it's virtually impossible to save for a deposit to get into the housing market. We're in a hyperinflationary environment where the price of homes and assets in general just keeps going up and up and up. And so young people just don't have a chance anymore to calmly plan a future for themselves the way that we were fortunate enough to be able to do. And I guess that we were probably the last generation that really had that freedom. And so, so now it's up to us to, in some ways, be very proactive in terms of ensuring that we leave something for our kids that's of value. And so, that's what I'm, really big on, and that is ensuring that, that I'm doing all that I can to ensure that I'm able to take care of my kids. Not that I don't think they need to take care of themselves. Of course, everybody does. But, I also know what they're up against. And so when I talk about control mechanisms and the downstream effects of being a Bitcoiner, it's not just about money. It's also about healthcare and understanding that that is another control mechanism. And for many, many years, I was hosting conferences in the health and wellness space, alternative health, holistic health, natural alternatives to traditional healthcare system, traditional medicine. And, I worked with some amazing speakers in that space over many, many years. And, the whole message was self-responsibility. Self-responsibility when it comes to your health, because unfortunately the system only knows one solution, and that of course is disease management, band-aid solutions, managing symptoms rather than getting to the cause of the problem. And so it's very easy for me to transition my mindset and my thinking and my education these days into or out of the monetary control system into self-responsibility and sovereignty when it comes to money, because it's really the same thing. So self-care is the antithesis of healthcare, because it's all about self-responsibility, being proactive with your health, being in charge, embracing nature, sunshine, water, walking, whole foods, non-toxic relationships, having a passion. All of those things are what truly drives health and vitality and longevity. But then when it comes to money, we also need to be thinking about ways that we can be self-responsible and self-sovereign and separated from the system that is actually designed to enslave us. And so, for me, these are big downstream impacts of the power of Bitcoin that it takes time for people to get to. And that's okay, so long as you stay the course, so long as you continue to educate yourself and that you don't get shaken out and you don't let your emotions control your behavior when it comes to this adolescent monetary technology. I mean, that's something that a lot of people forget. Bitcoin is still very much in price discovery. The world is still seeking out its value proposition, and because of that, its price fluctuates, but it only fluctuates in fiat currency terms. I mean, one Bitcoin will always be one Bitcoin. A million Satoshis will always be a million Satoshis. And we're going to see a time where the world prices itself in the hardest form of money, I believe, and that, of course, is Bitcoin. And so the longer you can hang on to that value proposition, regardless of the fiat dollar price, the better off you're going to be. And any dips in price, any price corrections, any pullbacks, just know that they are only temporary, and they are a gift. They're an absolute gift from the gods for you to acquire more of this monetary technology. And so this is where a lot of people really struggle with Bitcoin, and it's all about being completely centered in your thinking, being future focused, being empowered to know that you're on the right track, to not let your emotions get in the way of what you're doing. And this is why when I teach people about Bitcoin in a one-on-one environment or when I run webinars, the first step in Bitcoin for me that I teach is all about education. And the reason for that is because even though you're not going to learn everything about Bitcoin before you get started, because that would be a mistake, because you'll never get started because there's just so much to learn, but you just need to get the basic mindset and the basic principles of Bitcoin, and make sure you're really clear on that before you make the first move. And the reason I say that is because I have met very, very smart people who were in Bitcoin, doubled, tripled, sometimes quadrupled or so their money, and now they're out of Bitcoin and they wish they had never made that mistake. And so I've never sold any Bitcoin, just so I'm clear on that. So I'm a great believer that what we have is the most pristine collateral that mankind has ever seen, and I believe that I'm going to be proven right. I believe that the likes of Michael Saylor are going to be proven right. Jeff Booth, Robert Breedlove, all these incredible voices in this space. You know, the Dunworth brothers in Australia, Peter Dunworth and his brother Michael Dunworth, who are very, very intelligent minds in this space, educating people as well. I believe we're going to be proven to be right, and I believe it's going to become very, very clear between now and 2030 that that's the case. And so just understand that being a Bitcoiner is not about money go up, creating wealth, and the ultimate savings technology. It's not just about that. Yes, it is about those things, but not only those things. It's about other things that are the downstream benefits of being a Bitcoiner. And it's so important that you continue to keep your mindset active as to the reasons you're here. It's got the ability to improve your health. It's got the ability to elevate your personal growth, to have perspective on the world, to see things through a different set of eyes, to reshape your value systems, what's most important to you. It also has the ability to really encourage you to take care of your body, take care of your health, because if the future is brighter and you know that that's guaranteed, as is the case because you're a Bitcoiner, then why on earth wouldn't you take care of your physical and mental and emotional health, knowing that you have blue sky ahead? Blue sky is on the horizon. And so all you have to do is hang on, control your emotions, take care of yourself, do the things you need to do on a day-to-day basis, but just know that you are going to arrive at a place that is very, very, very bright indeed. So I want to leave it there today, but you know, this is a space I spend a lot of time in, contemplating, listening, learning, educating, teaching. And so, you know, I just encourage you to stay on path and don't let your emotions get in the way. You know, when there's changes in the market, you know, the best days I have are the days where I'm actually not looking at the Bitcoin price. And I know it's difficult, but the reality is that ultimately it's not going to matter, because, you know, Bitcoin is repricing the world as we speak, which basically means that life is only going to get better for anybody who's involved in Bitcoin, who zooms out and has the right time horizon. So I want to thank you for listening today. Again, if you like this content, please consider giving it a like. I'd love it if you would subscribe to my channel and join my community. I'd greatly appreciate that. If you see value in connecting with me often, and if you'd like to leave me a comment, by all means, please do that, and I'll acknowledge that. And other than that, just share this message, because being a Bitcoiner is incredibly empowering, and most people still have no idea about Bitcoin, what it is and what it truly represents. I want to thank you for listening. This is Zane signing out. I look forward to talking with you very, very soon.